Hello, I'm Molly Stevens, Director of Research at Booking.com. In the last year, I've found myself wondering about the field of research, about the choices we are making, and how we are letting our roles and activities be shaped somewhat by us, but mostly by the forces around us. I believe that the time has come for researchers to define our own path, to define the discipline before we're splintered apart by others. These are the others who currently try to control, define, and own what we have to offer. And we shouldn't let others define us. We have circled in the orbit of design and product, subject to the push and pull of the goals and incentives of these stakeholders. We are growing and evolving research as best we can with these influences. But I think this needs to change. You must have wondered about the title of this talk. Well, escape velocity is a term used in space exploration. It's the lowest velocity which a body must have in order to escape the gravitational pull of a particular planet or other object. This talk is a wake-up call for researchers to take an active role in charting a path and breaking away from these forces, as we lead the definition of our work selves and what our discipline will become in the next decade. However, to break away, to make these decisions, we need a clear direction. There are three main things that we must do in order to move forward. First, be seen as the scientists that we are. The work we do is grounded in years of study and scientific principles, and we should emphasize and celebrate this instead of diminishing our foundations. Second, be specific and precise about our roles, how to work with us, who works with us, what is unique about what we offer, about saying yes and saying no, and what we will and will not democratize to other functions. Beyond this, we must create more precision and definition in our specialties so that everyone is not asked to be all things to all parts of the organization. And third, we must break away from our standard position as subordinate to other disciplines such as product or design. We must stand with the other insight functions as a coordinated entity, and we need a seat at the table that is wholly our own. Before presenting more details about these three actions, I'm going to talk about how we got here. Considering the larger context of the forces and choices that have shaped our discipline can give us direction on how to make improvements. I've been in the area of user experience for nearly 20 years, and I've seen how technology, organizations, and our roles have shifted and evolved over this time. A major shift that I've seen, particularly in the last 5 years, is around the power and importance of knowing your users, about understanding the humans that we serve. User research has become much more ubiquitous in tech organizations, a key element of the core team. In the early days of having the right technology made you queen over the other competitors. And over time, we've seen that as the technology becomes more generally available, having a deep and meaningful understanding of your users then grows equally in importance. For example, my niece could use a laptop and the internet and an app builder and create an app over the weekend. She could use design patterns and free graphics and build out something that works and could actually appear in the Android or Apple store. However, the real test of whether or not this technology is useful is how well does it meet the needs of the users, whether it really speaks to the humans it may have been designed for. And so now more than ever, tech companies need our knowledge and our skills to succeed. Research, by whatever title you would like to call it, has been one of the primary gatherers and sharers of knowledge about people. We are the group who the business comes to in order to collect meaningful information about how to understand user needs and predict human behavior. So, as we've become more important, we're being asked to do more within these organizations. I've seen how people from across the business at every level and in every part are coming to us for insights. And within these organizations, we're responding to these requests and we're doing work in a much wider variety of fields than we've ever done before. Unfortunately, with an often low ratio to our product teams and engineers, the large scope and short deadlines means that we do a little bit of everything. We are becoming a Joan of all trades, but mistress of none. And the scope of work that is done, sometimes by an individual, can be dizzying. I understand that we want to help. We see the value and the benefits that we can provide to these people, to these teams and organizations. We understand and sympathize with our end users' needs and also our coworkers' needs to understand the humans that use the technology. And so we say yes. And yes to the idea of wanting to help, yes to the idea of being a team player. We even say yes to bad methods and approaches because our stakeholders believe that they know how to do our work and where we can be the most effective, even when we don't always agree. And it's difficult to say no to these requests when we know that our usefulness in an organization is defined by us saying yes, when our promotions and bonuses are tied to being helpful, and we over-deploy our helper instinct to try to be all things to all people. There can be good learnings and relationships from saying yes. However, there are several side effects to saying yes all the time. When we say yes to approaches and methods that we don't have expertise in, or to tight timelines, or yes to overwork, then we're teaching our stakeholders the wrong things about our discipline. We say yes so often, so much, and so easily that we lose our unique value, which is about deeply understanding people. I'd like you to think about a question for a moment. How many of you spend more time managing your stakeholders and training your designers than you do conducting research or sharing findings? There is value in saying no, and in prioritizing our work, and in focusing on quality over quantity. Another side effect of these organic changes is how our titles and roles have become so broad and the expectations so huge. We are all trying to be the unicorn researcher who knows all methods and can do everything in an organization. And from this, our colleagues learn over time, right or wrong, that we will do practically everything for them. So a researcher who may have studied quantitative methods is expected to do qualitative field work, or vice versa. The title of user research means both everything and nothing. We've seen how in other fields there have become more defined and specific titles for roles, and the ability to specialize and go deep can help define and refine the practice. Design has gone from being just design to being interaction design, motion, multimedia, layout, brand, etc. Why haven't we done this in research? What is holding us back from being more specialized? I think it's mostly because we're in the moment, working hard and very overwhelmed. We're overstretched and we've started looking for help in more places because of this. And another follow-on effect is that we're teaching more of our colleagues how to conduct research. This is the democratization of research that we've all been reading about more lately. We're starting to train non-researchers throughout the organizations we are in to conduct field studies, surveys, in-lab studies, and other things. We think it's just teaching our colleagues to fish. I'm beginning to think this is a bad idea. In the past, I was someone who thought that democratizing research was important and useful, that teaching others how to do elements of our job didn't matter. I was okay with non-researchers doing research because I felt that people almost always came back to us and told us that they appreciated the work we did and that what we did was actually quite difficult. I don't believe that anymore. I think that many of us who have sought to solve the problem with this approach now use it as too general of a solution. We teach all methods. We do it in a blanket way that doesn't reflect the studying and hard work and experience that got us where we are. How many combined years of experience and study are watching this conference? How many interviews have we done? How many surveys and stakeholder presentations? Why do we make what we do seem cheap and easy to learn? Why do we take 2 hours on a Thursday afternoon to teach something that took us a year or two to start beginning to do well? We are undercutting the scientific foundations of the work that we do. Recently, I was having a conversation with a data scientist colleague, and they were talking about all of the challenges that they have with leadership. And as the conversation progressed, I realized that they didn't face all of the same challenges that we do in research. So I asked, do your stakeholders think that they can do your job? And she looked surprised and said, what? And I laughed to myself in that moment as I realized that no one thinks, oh, data science, I'm sure I could learn how to do that in a couple of hours. There's no assumption that what they do is easy as talking to people, which is what I've heard our jobs described as. So how can we bring back the science of our work? I'm not saying that teaching people about our work is fundamentally a bad idea. There are some things that they can do, some things that maybe we don't want to do or need to do anymore. Maybe we're okay with designers testing their own designs. Maybe we teach people how to do better interviews or design surveys. But let's make considered choices and recognize the impacts before we dilute our discipline. We can no longer let this evolve organically. As a group, we must take charge and define the next 10 years with thoughtfulness and a view to our future vision. We have spread our value out across the organization that we have to fight to make that value seen. We've splintered our work and it has become less visible, and the lack of visibility has a real cost. The emotional labor of continuously having to teach and demonstrate our value is high. The current state has become existentially exhausting, and I hear it from people all the time. I'm ready to start tackling the state of things and make changes. As I said at the beginning, there are 3 things that I believe we need to work on. First, be seen as the scientists that we are. We need to be sure that the people around us understand the size and complexity of the work that we do. We can highlight the methods and approaches we take. We can talk about experimental design and repeatability. Perhaps we need to change our titles to reflect the science element. Are we people scientists or insight scientists, human needs analysts? We have to change something. Second, we need to be specific and precise about our roles, both what we as a discipline will and won't do in these roles, and what we won't or will democratize to other groups, as well as creating more precision and definition in our specialties. When we define our titles, we should be more specific and precise about the work that we are experts in. The title user research right now can be so many different things that even we are sometimes confused about what it encompasses. Let's stop encouraging our researchers to be a Joan of all trades and a mistress of none. Yes, it's good to be familiar with a variety of methods, so you know which one is appropriate, and which you can do, and which ones you should find an expert to handle. Expertise and specialization should not be dirty words. And saying no should be more than acceptable. It should be encouraged. When we have to prioritize and we say no to projects, and our non-researcher colleagues then ask if they can do the research instead, let's have a point of view about what can and can't be done by others. We cannot democratize all research. Third, we must break away from our current roles as subordinate to design and product. We must stand with our other insight functions as an entity that is not beholden to those groups. We need a seat at the table that is wholly our own. This will be hard, as it comes with pressures and challenges that many of us have not faced yet. When we control our own destiny and our incentives are related to the work being done, not who we report to, we will be more able to fully demonstrate the value that we bring to the organization. It will not be invisible to our leadership, cracks and all. As an example, currently I am reporting to the VP of Customer Insights, a role that encompasses leads for experimentation, data science, market research, and research. The ability for us to effectively cooperate, triangulate, and multiply our impacts is incredible. The open collaboration between insight functions provides us with huge opportunities and huge responsibilities, but it's ours to control. I urge our community to consider these points. We must take control of our destiny for the next decade. You can step up and make these changes happen wherever you are. Looking at the leaders around me, I'm in awe of the work we've already accomplished, and I see a potentially bright future. However, it's one that needs deliberate shaping. Take a minute after this talk to consider what you'll do today or tomorrow to move forward on one of these points. Or please comment on my blog post or join us in Slack discussions to propose your ideas about moving forward. We have to do this together. We can chart this path and reach escape velocity for our discipline for the next decade if we're able to take action now. Thank you to everyone for listening today, and thank you to all of the leaders who helped me to frame these thoughts.